crafty friends. Happy Friday and welcome to Flosstube. My name is Jessie and this is Mislaid Pages. If you're new here, if you've just stumbled upon me, welcome. Happy to have you. I'll talk about a few things in a minute that, if you're new here, you might want to just be aware. Just FYI. If you're returning, then welcome back. So happy to have you. We're here for more cross stitching. So my channel is where I talk about all my crafty stuff, which primarily is cross stitching and knitting with a little bit of diamond painting occasionally, and then other random stuff as I feel like it. So that's what my channel is about. Also on this channel, as you may have heard on other channels, we believe that Black Lives Matter, love is love, no human is illegal, human rights are women's rights and trans rights, and science is real, and all the things. So if you're familiar with Mr. Domestic, that's where that comes from. I actually picked it up from Michelle over at Bendy Stitchy, but they're all things that I believe. That's what we believe on this channel. If you're not down with that, then that's fine. But that's what I'm down with, and so sometimes I talk about that. Sometimes I talk about things that I'm feeling, experiencing, things that I'm learning, especially things that I'm learning, and all that kind of stuff. So those are things that we do on this channel, and that's not something that you want to watch, then be aware. And yeah, so do what you want to do. Happy Pride. It is June, so June is Pride Month. June is when we commemorate the riot that started the Pride movement, that started the equal rights movement for LGBTQIA2S+. I've added the 2S. Just FYI, I want to try to find a way. I want to be completely inclusive, but I also want to be able to actually say an acronym. So 2S is Two-Spirit, which is an indigenous term, or a term from indigenous cultures and indigenous natures, which is different than being transgendered or being agender or gender non-binary. It's a completely separate term in those cultures that can mean a lot of different things depending on which nation you're talking about or talking with. But a two-spirit person is someone who ranges somewhere between having aspects of both male and female, having aspects of neither, being a completely separate third gender. It all depends on exactly which nation you're talking about and what their beliefs are, but two-spirit people are valid just as much as anybody else is valid. So LGBTQIA+, or LGBTQIA2S+, because I am completely inclusive. My rainbow includes everyone. So yeah. So that's what we're about here. If that's not what you're about, that's totally fine. But it's fine if you want to stay here. You don't have to be about these things to stay here and watch. But don't fuss. Don't come up in my comments and fuss at me if that's not what you're about, because you should be an adult. This channel is not made for people under the age of 18 or 13, whatever the legal requirements are for YouTube. It's not made for kids. So you're an adult. You can click away if you don't want to watch it. That's totally up to you. Apparently I'm up in my whatever today. So speaking of Pride, I have my free mom hugs button, which I have yet to get to use at an actual Pride event, but I don't know. This is a thing. I guess part of it is I'm old enough now that I feel like I can be people's moms. I've been old enough to be somebody's mom for a while, but I guess now that my stepkid is 18, I'm starting to really like embrace the momness. And the fact that I can be a mom. I'm old enough to be a mom. And so I started feeling really strongly about the free moms hug thing 2 or 3 years ago. And I think part of it probably also came about after my mom passed. And I'm gonna try not to get too emotional. Y'all know how I get when I talk about my mom. But she was so loving and accepting. I was really lucky. A lot of folks are not so lucky with their folks. When I came out to my mom, it was so not a thing. It was something that she understood about me before I understood about me. And so when I came out to her, it was just kind of like, okay, I'm glad that you told me. It was just like it was not a thing at all. And she was so supportive, and she took me to my first Pride. And so having had that in my life, I know how important it is to have that. And I know that so many people don't have that. And I feel for them. I feel so much for them. So that's why the last few years I've started with the free mom hugs button. And, there's always a meme that goes around this time of year saying, if your family doesn't accept you, I'm your family now. And that's me. If your family doesn't accept you, if you don't have anyone in your life that sees you, that accepts who you are, I'm here for you. I will be your family. I will be your mom. I will be your auntie. I will protect you fiercely and love you just as fiercely, because you are special and you are important and you are valid. So anyway, that was way more than I was trying to get into first thing this morning. So cross stitching. Shall we talk about some cross stitching? I've done a lot of stitching this week, not as much as I wanted to, but I mean, that's how it goes, right? It's been a really busy week. It feels like it's been 2 weeks since Flosstube, and I know it's only been one, but it's been 2 weeks. So let's talk about last weekend. I did a live D-stash, and it was really awesome. I thank everybody who came out to the live D-stash. I recognize so many names, so I know a bunch of you who are regular viewers were there, and that was really exciting. And I really appreciate all the participation and the patience, especially as I was trying to figure out the some issues with Nightbot and stuff like that. I think I have it down now. So now all I have to do is rebuild a stash to D-stash, and then we can do another live D-stash. But it was a really great experience. I do enjoy the lives. It's nice to be able to chat with you all. I especially love going on Instagram after the fact and seeing all the pictures of stuff that people have worked on while they were on the live. That's really fun. So the whole experience was really cool. And I rode the adrenaline from the live D-stash and, got all the invoices done right after the D-stash, which was really good because, oh my gosh, it was a lot of invoicing. And y'all were fabulous because everybody paid immediately. I love you all for that. Like, oftentimes when you're doing stuff like this, you have to chase at least one person down. I didn't have to chase anybody down. You're all fantastic. Thank you so much. So as a result, all of that stuff got packaged up, got shipped out. Almost all of the D-stash stuff was shipped out on June 1st. So got to the post office, out the door on June 1st. Hopefully y'all are starting to receive your D-stash items. And then the rest of the week was spent doing, I was packaging up Silk of the Month, and I was packaging up other Etsy orders. I do have Twisted Rainbow in stock. I have one set left. One set left. I will be reordering. And what I'm going to do this time, once that one in stock set is sold, I will put up a pre-order listing so that you can go ahead and order it, and then I'll ship it to you when it arrives. So I will be ordering more of those. So don't feel like you missed out. If you don't get that one set that's available right now, just, hold on a tick and I will put that pre-order listing up. Excuse me. And then probably the realistic processing time is going to be like 2 to 3 weeks. Because generally speaking, when I order from Dinky Dyes, they ship out within a week of placing the order. Because it's priority mail, it should get here in 2 days. It doesn't always, so I always allow at least a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then I have to ship it to you. So generally 2 to 3 weeks for me to get the order that I place with Dinky Dye, and then I ship it to you. I think the Etsy listing is set up for 3 to 4 weeks processing time. So that's why it's so long. It's just because I have to wait for it to come to me and then I send it out to you. But they are pricey even on my end, so I don't want to have a ton of stock on hand that I'm not going to sell. So just FYI. I do have more fun stuff coming to Etsy, some new charts, especially from Barbara Anna. I just placed an order yesterday, so a bunch of her new exciting charts will be coming to the Etsy shop. I just have to have the time to do the listings, and this week has been all about shipping. So it's been day job, and then it's been shipping, packaging up silk of the month and all that sort of stuff. So it's been a very busy week. It's totally worth it, but yeah, it's been a busy week. So hopefully, probably not this weekend, but hopefully early next week, I'll actually get some some more listings up on Etsy for you all to buy things. Also, just as a side note, over on Patreon, I've been doing a daily vlog this week, which has been really fun. I didn't think I had much of anything to talk about, but as I'm like getting in a vlog mindset, I realized, oh, if I whip my camera out, this could be something that would be interesting to add. So I just kind of take random snippets throughout my day and throw them all together in the evening and post it for the folks over on Patreon. So if that's something that you're interested in, that's something I'm doing right now over on Patreon. The link is in the description if you want to check it out. I don't have tiers at the moment, so if you jump into Patreon at any level, you'll get access to everything that's over on Patreon. And another note, fingers crossed, I keep saying this, and I don't mean to keep like teasing and stringing y'all along, but I do really hope sometime this month to actually get some of my hand-dyed fabric for sale in the Etsy, not in the Etsy shop, over on Patreon. I'm gonna give them all first dibs, and then if there's anything left, I'll put it over on Etsy. So also exciting development, I am finally purchasing more fabric to dye. I think, actually, I'm not going to talk about what colors and stuff I'm going to do because I don't know yet. I'll see when I get to fabric, and and we'll get what we get. I find that, especially with ice dyeing, if you try to get it too in your head exactly what you're trying to get out of it, then you end up with a lot of disappointment because, yeah, you can't really predict or be too finicky about the outcome because it's going to be what it's going to be. So, okay. Just making sure I'm recording still. So let's talk about whips. So yeah, de-stash on Saturday. Sunday, I basically took the entire day off from anything. I think I was a little bit on social media, but not a lot. Basically, just like all I did was me stuff. So I didn't do day job. I didn't do Etsy shop. I didn't do any of those things. I didn't really answer any kind of messages or anything like that because it was like I needed a break. So Sunday was my day. I did a lot of stitching. And what I stitched on was Grimm's Fairy Tales. So I know I said, I know what I said last week. I was like, oh, I'm just going to leave it. It's fine. I don't need to put any stitches in it. But two things. One, Rachel has been working on this piece as part of her 25/7. So 25/7, I forget who it originated with. I learned about it through Michelle over at Bendy Stitchy, and Rachel has joined in on this as well. And the idea is that you stitch on the same piece for 25 minutes or 25 stitches, 7 days a week, to try to get some progress on it, get it finished, whatever your end goal is. So 25/7 is 25 minutes or 25 stitches per day for 7 days a week. So she's been working on this piece for her 25/7, and the competitive streak in me is like, oh, I have to catch up. So that's part of it. The other part of it is for some reason, my brain was just like, no, you have to stitch on it before you put it away for the month. So I pulled it out last weekend, and lo and behold, I got 500 stitches in it. If you can't, when I'm editing this, I'll see if I need to put a picture in here so that you can see it better. But basically, I finished off this whole Rapunzel scene here. So we have the prince with the horse, we have Rapunzel in the tower, we have the witch here to the side, and in my view of the camera, it does not look clear at all. So we'll see how that goes. But you may be able to see that I did a bunch of color conversions. So Rapunzel is much more melanated than she was originally designed to be, and she has this gorgeous dark brown hair. And then The witch here is a little, she's not the basic color that that it was designed with, but she's not she's like slightly tan. I don't know if you can see that. She's slightly tan compared to some of the other folks. And then if I remember correctly, I used the same skin tone for the prints here that I did for Rapunzel. So they are similarly toned, but his hair is actually a blend. It's black and I think a dark gray, the dark gray from the stones in the castle here. And then the horse was actually supposed to be white. And I actually did, I mixed white with the light gray from the tower here. So the horse is all blended. I had to do some funny stuff with the shadowed limbs. So like the legs that are on the other side of the horse where they should be in shadow, I had to change the colors on that. So I did a lot of customizing, and as Michelle would say, I got drunk with power. She apparently picked that up from Beth Twist, who gets a kick out of folks customizing their charts and coming up with their own colors and stuff like that. So evidently I was really inspired by that, and I just kind of went for it. I started using my own colors all over the place. So in fact, I forgot, I actually I changed the color of Rapunzel's dress too. So she's actually in a purple dress instead of a blue dress, because she should have been in the same color as this dark blue on the prints, and I changed that because I was like, nah. So so lots of customization there. I'm very happy with it, and I was getting such a kick out of working on it, because I'm just like, look at me putting blends together, look at me deciding on random colors, because that's not something I usually do. Usually I'm just like, it's charted in this is what I'm going to do it in, but I didn't do that this time, so that was really fun. So I got lots of stitches in on it, and it is, I may have to do some back stitching around the horse because you can't see him very well, but 500 stitches, 500 stitches, bitches, folks. I don't usually cuss. Sometimes I do, but I'm not usually one of those folks. I cuss a lot in my personal life, but my brain has this like filter where it's like, this is sort of a work situation, and I tend not to cuss in work situations. It just is what it is. But yeah, 500 stitches. So that's done, that's ready. I haven't decided whether I'm going to take it out of the Q-snap or not. I don't know if I'll pull this back out during the year. Now, there is the possibility, because so as Rachel and I have been working on this, Heike is looking at it enviously, and I think Heike is considering doing this chart in 2022. Obviously, the SAL is over. The SAL was last year, the stitch along. So it's a completely finished pattern. You can purchase it as a whole now. So Heike is considering actually starting this in 2022. And she's currently working on Clouds Factory's 2021 stitch along, which is There Is No Planet B, which is so cute. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I didn't pick it up because I'm so like year-long sal'd out, because I did so many last year and none of them are finished. So but I had this idea. If Heike is going to do this stitch along in 2022, then I should do There Is No Planet B in 2022, and we can stitch along with the opposite year's stitch, because I think that would be cute, because that's how my brain works. But I feel like I should finish this one if I'm going to do that, so we'll have to see. We're already in June, and as you can see, I think this is only through March of 2020. So we'll see. Maybe I won't force myself to finish this one first. Maybe. Yeah. So that is Grimm's Fairy Tales. So that is my second whip go goal for May, finished, like double finish, because I'd already done it before and then I did it again. So now I've put 1,500, almost 2,000 stitches into that this year, which is double what I had intended to do. So that's awesome. That's fantastic. I have not started on my June whip go goals yet, because I have been super into the June new start, the June 1st new start. And I'll show that to you in a minute. Let me take a sip of coffee. So I was like, let me actually talk to you about it. So then on May 31st, so Memorial Day, I told y'all, and you're not going to know what this is. I told y'all that I was determined to start Long I Have Waited. I've got my dragon, I have my bi dragon over here. I told y'all that I was determined to start Long I Have Waited, which is Heaven and Earth Designs chart from the artwork of Christy Grandjean. So I told y'all that I was going to start it in May in solidarity with hashtag Moretta May. So I pulled it out on the 31st. I had a bunch of stuff that I was doing on the 31st, but I pulled it out. I got some stitchy time, and I think this is 100 stitches, 200 stitches. It's not a lot. And you can't tell what it is, but but I gotta start. I started it. So yeah. So this is Long I Have Waited. Doesn't it look beautiful? And I need a better frame. I just didn't want to. I knew I wasn't gonna, or I knew I had a bunch of other new starts that I was going to be doing, so I didn't bother putting it in the scroll frame, because I didn't want to put it in for one day just to take it out and have to switch it out with other stuff. So I put it on this sort of Frankenstein's monster-esque, because this is actually, it's partly the off-brand Q-snap from the Loops and Threads brand Q-snap from Michaels, and partly an actual Q-snap. And it doesn't, it's fine as long as you're not like wanting it to be super tight. It's not as tight as I would like, but it worked for the day, and that's all I really needed it to do. And now that I have shown this to you, I will be taking it off of here and doing something else with it. And it's so funny because when I purchased this chart, this is considered a mini, so it's still 250 by 325 stitches. So it's a 10 by 13 stitch when you're finished on 25 count over 1. So it's still a good sized chart, but I realized this is not the biggest chart that I have. This is not the biggest piece that I'm working on, because it's only 16 inches wide, only 16, and that's not all. Actually, it's 19 inches wide because it's 13 inches long. So it's only 16 inches wide because the actual stitching is only 10 inches wide, so 3 inches on each side. So yeah, it's only 16 inches wide, which is actually smaller than a fat quarter, which means that I have 5 or 6 pieces that are larger than this. So when I bought this, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so huge. It's going to take me a whole lifetime. And now I'm just like, it's sort of medium size, right? Because of some of the other stuff. So even Gamer Nouveau is larger than this. So Gamer Nouveau, I think, is 13 or 16 inches on the short side. So yeah, so this is a baby compared to other pieces that I'm working on currently. Even the Long Dog Pandemic is bigger than this. So anyway, so this is my baby Heaven and Earth. So I just squeaked in and got it started in May, so that was good. It was another goal met. And then on June 1st, I started, and I'm just going to leave it in the, I'm going to reset this. I'm going to leave it on my stand because I have a lot of complicated things happening here, and I just don't want to. I'm doing a lot of parking with this. So this is Relentless. This is from Ink Circles. I talked about this a lot, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to put it down and start something else because I'm just so into this. So I started it on June 1st. It is now June 4th. I have put 1,000 stitches into this. So for me, that is like, that's pretty phenomenal. I don't generally get that much stitching into something. It feels like it's going so fast. And I was telling Rachel and Heike that I'm having to temper my excitement because my brain is like, oh, it's going so fast. I'm going to finish this. I'm just going to finish this in June. And I have to remind myself, there are 12,000, almost 13,000 stitches in this chart. It is 117 by 117, and it is full coverage. So it's a lot of stitches, 13,000 stitches. So even though I've gotten 1,000 stitches in this week and I really, really want to put more and more stitches in it, the idea of finishing it in June is is somewhat unrealistic, especially if I want to do anything other than stitch on this in June, which I do, because I need to jump in on Transtastic Sal. I still need to get my DMC. I need to get my threads for Transtastic Sal. So that's the Trans Pride Unicorn that was designed by D's 20 Stitches, original art by Kari Nakin. So yeah, I still want to do that, and I still want to get Twisted Rainbow Sampler started. Don't get it twisted, Sal. So there's still 2 other things that I want to start this month, but I don't know if I can put this down because it's so good. It's so good. I have done a Dinky Dyes conversion, so it's charted in DMC. And I have done a Dinky Dyes conversion, and I am loving my Dinky Dyes colors. I'm loving the colors that I picked. Now, I will say I kind of did a cheaty McCheater face because I took the Twisted Rainbow Sampler, which happened to be, obviously it's rainbow colors, but it happened to be fairly well in line with the rainbow colors from Twisted Rainbow Sampler. So most of the colors I pulled from the Twisted Rainbow Sampler pack. For Relentless, a couple I had to go off the pack. The black is not in the pack, and I think at least one of the greens I pulled from my stash because the greens that were in the pack were not quite right compared to the DMC colors. So, but they're looking fantastic. I am loving the look of it, and this fabric is also fantastic. This is a piece of 32 count linen that has been ice dyed by Kathy Davidson over at Dyeing for Cross Stitch. I think I got this around Pride time last year. I considered putting this on a piece of rainbow linen that I got from Mystic Fabrics last year, but because it's full coverage, I didn't want anything that was I didn't want to cover up beautiful dyeing or lots of colorful dyeing. So I thought this was a really nice piece of fabric because you can't really tell the way that the fabric is in the hoop, but most of the really interesting colors are actually outside of where the design is going to be. So that gives me a lot of options for framing and still having the really beautiful spots of color and stuff show up. So obviously this section here, those colors will be covered up, but the more bold and interesting spatters are actually outside of that. So I thought this would be a really great piece for that. And I'm loving stitching on the linen with the silk. It's awesome. Not quite as awesome as Jobelin, but it is really awesome, and I'm having a really great time with it. So yeah, that's happening. It's happening, and it's happening so fast, and I love it. It's gorgeous. I'm addicted. Yeah. So I don't know. And I have my I don't know if you can see. I have my needle minder from my Rainbow Stitches box. That's what I'm using for this one. Oh, that's what I was going to show you. I'll probably show you next time because I don't feel like going to get it. I made a bunch of needle minders. And if you're following over on Patreon, you haven't seen the needle minders yet, but you did see me working on the needle minders. So yeah, a bunch of new needle minders, partly because I finally got a set of wire cutters that are heavy duty enough to cut the pin off of the back of the enamel pins. That's been a thing for me for a while. This happens a lot to me. I don't know if it happens to you all. I know it probably happens to my folks that have ADHD or some similar neurodivergency, but like I will want to do a thing and I will know what I need in order to do that thing, but it might take me days, weeks, months, years to actually obtain the thing or get to the point where I can do the thing that I need in order to do the thing. And so so I have all these enamel pins, and the real obstacle to making the enamel pins was getting a pair of wire cutters, which seems so silly to a lot of people, I'm sure, because you can buy wire cutters all over the place. In fact, the ones that I got were like $7 off of Amazon. But somehow the idea of having to find the right wire cutters was so much of an obstacle that it's taken me ages to finally get the wire cutters so that I can now make enamel pins into needle minders in an easier way, because I had some nippers, but they were primarily meant for cutting the filament for 3D printing. And the filament for 3D printing is significantly easier to cut than the wire on the back of an enamel pin, that pin part on the back of the enamel pin. So anyway, all of that is to say that now I have the pliers, now I have the wire cutters, and now I can do the thing, and it's fun. So, but yeah, so that was something else that I did this week. Oh, I didn't go through all my normal things. Okay, I got so into my feels that I forgot all. So I don't have any Happy Meal anyway. So that's fine. And what I've been watching is just Lucifer. I've been watching Lucifer again because the second half of season 5 finally dropped. So now I'm rewatching the entire series because I never watched the first part of season 5. So yeah, so I'm just rewatching the series to get to the beginning of season 5, which I haven't watched yet. And I'm almost to season 4 now. I'm right at the tail end of season 3, and season 3 is frustrating for me because the storyline was like and some of the actions of the characters were kind of so I'm just just wading through it until I get to the part that I like. So anyway, but yeah, Lucifer's good. If you haven't seen Lucifer, you should try to watch Lucifer. It's fantastic, and I can't remember what the actor's name is who actually plays Lucifer, but he is so devilishly handsome. I mean, he's the perfect actor for that role. I love his accent. I know it's fake, but I love his accent. I love his whole demeanor. I love his appearance. He's just like really, really good looking. And the lead actress who plays Chloe, I think she used to be in what was it, Chicago Fire? Back in the day. I think she was one of the EMTs. I think that's where I know her from. But there's so many actors. The guy who plays Dan has been in numerous other things, not the least of which was True Blood. And Tom Welling, who played Clark Kent in the Smallville series, he is on season 3. I can't remember what else what else of Lucifer he's in, but he's a prime character in season 3. And it's so funny because I knew him, but it wasn't until I was talking to a friend during my first watch through that I was like, oh, that's who that is. Yeah. So yeah, Superman is in season 3. Okay, so that's what I'm watching. There's a couple things I want to listen to. My list of audiobooks that I want to listen to just keeps getting longer because I never listen to the audiobooks. Because for some reason I need the visual part of the television. Like, it's so strange. So I'm not actually watching the television when I'm crafting. In fact, when I'm knitting, I can't watch the television because I'm not one of those knitters that can look up during their knitting. Like, I'm just not capable of, I need to look at the yarn while I'm knitting it. So I don't actually watch the TV, but for some reason I need the moving picture. Like, my brain needs to know that there's a picture there. So I end up watching TV instead of listening to an audiobook, when an audiobook would probably be way easier while I'm crafting. So I don't know why that is. But there's a series that I just learned about end of last month, I think it was. There's an account that I follow on Instagram where she does these really fantastic in-depth reviews of books and series that she's read. She's a cross-stitcher, but also like heavily into to reading and literature and all that kind of stuff. And she does these really fantastic, thorough reviews. And there was a series whose name, of course, I have forgotten, but I saved it because I found out that Audible has the entire series. There's 3 books. Has the entire series for free if you have an Audible membership. So you don't have to purchase the books, you can just listen to them. And I can't remember the name of the series, of course, but it sounded really, really interesting. It's a fantasy-based series. It's the Bone Witch series. At least the first book is called The Bone Witch. And it sounded really, really good. So I want to listen to that, especially because if I remember correctly, there's supposed to be some like non-binary folks and not non-traditional, but there's supposed to be a lot of like LGBTQIA2S plus representation, and maybe some aromantic representation, and certainly some ethnic and racial representation. And so I really want to listen to those books, but I have to get myself to do it. So yeah, that's what I'm reading, or that's what I'm watching, that's what I'm listening to. So yeah, what else do I have for you? I have 2 pieces of purchases and that's all I have for that. So I'm just about to be finished. I think this is weird. I'm not sure what to do with not having an hour and a half of stuff to talk to you about. It makes me feel like I've forgotten something, so I probably have forgotten something. But yeah, so I got my fabric of the month from Stitch Me. So if you, this would be May's, yeah, this is May's fabric of the month. So if you haven't gotten yours yet, I think she had to ship it out a little bit late last time. If you haven't gotten yours, this is your spoiler warning. I'm going to start with the Jobelin. So I get her standard membership in Jobelin 32 count, and I get the neutrals in 32 count linen. Excuse me. So in Jobelin, I got the colorway Phoenix, which I have seen on a Friday Fight Night. It's fantastic. I have a piece of 25 count Lugana in this color, and it's awesome. So awesome. And of course it's like washing out weirdly in the camera. But Phoenix is the perfect description of this because it's yellow and it's orange and it's red and it's fiery and it's gorgeous. I don't know if you can see. It looks kind of like, I don't know. The camera is not doing it justice. I have a light on here to try to help things be better, but I need to have somebody who actually knows how to do light things come in and help me with the lighting once, so that I can just if somebody could show me what it's supposed to look like, I could probably figure it out after that. But yeah. So this is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Love it. That looks a little bit better. But yeah, fantastic. And then the neutral colorway for this month is called Stonehenge. And it's funny because when I opened this package, when it came in the mail, I was like, you know what? I need to use this for Twisted Rainbow Sampler. Because I was just going to use plain old black Lugana. I have a big old yard of black Lugana. But this came in the mail, and I was like, I think this is my Twisted Rainbow fabric. So let me show you it. So this is 32 count linen in Stonehenge. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? It's a nice dark gray, and I love the modeling. So I think it's dark enough that those rainbow colors are going to pop, but it's not so dark that it's going to be really difficult to work on. So I think this is my Twisted Rainbow fabric. So I think I changed my mind about the Lugana, and I think I'm going to do my Twisted Rainbow on here, especially because Twisted Rainbow has enough, it's not full coverage, it's got enough space in between that I think this is going to be just fantastic. I think it's going to look really awesome. So that is what I'm going to do with that. It's really cool when you get a piece of fabric of the month and you're like, oh, that's the perfect thing for this thing that I'm getting ready to do. Because I kept thinking, I have my pandemic, my Long Dog pandemic sampler on, I think the colorway is Storm from Stitch Me, a piece of Jobelin, and that's gorgeous, but it is a lighter gray, and I kind of wanted something darker, and it's hard to get the darker grays onto Jobelin and Lugana because it's the cotton that really soaks up the dye, and so or your natural fibers, so like cotton and linen. So linen and cotton, your Ada, are always going to be more vibrant, are going to take up more color when they're being dyed. So that's why you get this on a linen, but you can't get this as well on a Jobelin or a Lugana. It's because the natural fibers really soak it up. They're called fiber reactive dyes for that reason. And so your Jobelins and your Luganas and fabrics like that are Generally like a 50-50 or 49-50 mix, 49-51 mix of cotton along with synthetic fibers, and the synthetic fibers don't take up the dye as well. So I say that because I'm probably going to be, I need to do a fabric video. I keep, it's in my brain all the time, and I just haven't sat down to actually do it. Hopefully soon. I keep wanting to do things this weekend, but we're busy this weekend. So anyway, the point is, as much as I love Jobelin, I'm not going to get this intensity on a Jobelin. So I think I'm just going to go with linen for that. So yeah. As much as I love Storm, and I would absolutely get Storm again for multiple projects, especially for rainbow projects, I think I just want something darker for Twisted Rainbow. So I think that's going to be perfect. Super perfect. So let's see, plans. I probably won't get a lot of stitching done this weekend. Tomorrow we're having people over. Which we've had a few folks over during the course of the pandemic, like basically people in our pod. And these are really just the same people, with the exception of one friend who I haven't seen because of the pandemic. She lives a couple hours away, and it obviously was not, neither of us felt that it was safe for us to commingle because we're different pods and so on and so forth. But we're all vaccinated now. All of my friends are vaccinated, and so we're having a belated birthday party tomorrow. And we're just going to get together. We're going to play card games. It's going to be awesome. And but preparing for that is going to take up probably my whole day, because that's how, it's not because it really will take up the whole day, it's because that's how my brain works. So because we're keeping it pretty simple, we're mostly just going to do like crock pot dips and things like that. We're not going super fancy with food and stuff. But we have to go grocery shopping today, and then we have to like tidy up the house tomorrow. So between the tidying up the house and having people over, I probably won't get any stitching done tomorrow. Sunday, I don't know about yet. So I'm not making crafty plans right now. Depending on how tomorrow goes, Sunday might be a wash because I might be recovering from tomorrow. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so no specific plans this weekend. Part of me feels like I need to commit to stopping Relentless and moving on to something else next week. I do have 2 new starts that I still want to do this month. Plus I have my 2 WIPGO pieces. So I'm not sure, but I hate deciding that I'm going to do this week, that next week, because if I make a specific plan, it becomes an obligation that my brain doesn't want to do it. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else, but like knowing that these are the things I want to get done and then doing them as I feel like doing them is a much more productive way for me to get things done versus this has to be done by this time and this has to be done by that time. Then I get really stressed and I freak out. So yeah. So next week's plans are to stitch things, and I don't know what I will stitch. I will stitch what I feel like stitching when I feel like stitching. What is that? Michelle will have to remind me of that acronym. It's SWEWE. SWEWE. Stitch what you want when you want, I think is, yeah, SWEWE. So that's my plan, SWEWE. I'll stitch what I want when I want. So yeah. It could be a whole lot more relentless. We'll see. Because what happens is pretty much what happens is I get to a point with something and my brain is like, you're done now. So I kind of want to ride the vibe until my brain is like, nope, you're done. So with it's been relatively easy with some things. So with like irises, it was basically like I was so driven and I was so fixated until I got that big iris finished, the main iris. Once I got that finished, my brain is like, you can move on now. It's fine. We're done. This is all we needed. Moving on. So I'm kind of waiting for that with Relentless because I feel like it will come. And in the meantime, I'll just ride the wave of enjoyment on stitching what I'm stitching. It's hard to know when that might happen with Relentless though, because there is no, with a lot of charts, you have these like places where there are natural breaks. So like with Grimm's, the natural breaks happen pretty much, in between every month's motif. So you have, you have the little vignettes. And so that's a natural like pause point for your brain. So I might get really fixated on getting Rapunzel finished, that whole scene finished. And then my brain is like, okay, I finished that scene. I can put this away now. With Relentless, there is no break because it's a continuous pattern. And so, and especially because of the way that I'm stitching it, it's just once I get to a pause, my brain is like, oh, now I can go back to this piece. So I'll do the colors, you know, so because brain is working too fast, working faster than my mouth. So the way that I tend to stitch, I don't like a lot of counting. So I will stitch the color that is closest to what I've already stitched. And then I will stitch more colors that are close to that color. And I build out that way, so that hopefully I'm not actually having to count more than five or six extra stitches in between anything, because that's how I stitch. And it's how I manage to not get my counting off too badly, is because I'm not counting 20 stitches over. I'm not stitching across the blank space more than I absolutely have to. And so with Relentless, it's like this color meets this color and that color meets that color. And now I'm to a point where all the colors are far away, but if I stitch all the black in between, then I will get to the next. And so it's like this constant flow, which is fantastic. But it could mean that without me saying, no brain, we're moving on, you know, there's the potential that my brain could be like, let's stitch this till we're finished, which again is 13,000 stitches. For some people, that might not be a lot of time. For me, that's a lot of time, even though it's going really, really fast. Because I did like 600 stitches yesterday, y'all, which for me in a busy day, that's unheard of. But I think it's because it's going so quickly. So anyway. So those are the plans. That's all the stuff that I've done this week. I hope you're having the best week that is available to you. I hope that you have. I hope you have great plans for the weekend. I hope that you're going to do stuff that's fun and fulfilling and makes you happy. But if you can't, then I hope that you make the best of what is available to you. That you're having the best time that you can have. So yeah. And I hope that, you know, if you're part of the LGBTQIA2S plus community, that you are so far enjoying your pride, that you're able to be out and loud. If you're not able to be out and loud, then understand that you are valid too. You don't have to be out to be valid. You don't have to be out to be important. But I hope that you're able to feel comfortable and safe enough to be out. And yeah. So that's all I have for you today. I will be, hopefully I'll be back with a knit cast. I didn't have a knit cast this week because I hadn't knitted at all. I spent all my time cross stitching. So I didn't figure there was a need to have a knit cast to show you nothing. I have a couple of yarns that have come in. I am opening up my Countdown to Summer Solstice Advent from Rebel Woolworks, but I'm opening that and including that with my vlogs over on Patreon. So once I have opened up all of those, I'll either show like the ones that I have opened when I do knitcast, or I'll put a compilation together of all of the yarns that I'm opening for the Summer Solstice Advent from Rebel Woolworks. But yeah, so yeah, that's what it is. And I guess I will just, I never know how to end these. I never know how to sign off. So I guess I'll just say, remember to stay hydrated, remember to take all the meds that you need to take, and remember that you are enough. I'll see y'all next time. Have a great one.